Oh, hi everyone, Stylus Silence here, and I'm sorry I didn't get an intro recorded for this one, but from the thumbnail you can see that I am doing a punk zombie, which I was extremely proud for. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the prosthetic made, which eventually I do plan on starting to sell on Etsy if you're ever interested in buying any of the prosthetics that I make. If you feel like it'll be easier for you to do that, then follow along and make it yourself. Also, if you don't want to see these processes, you can always skip by them, or let me know in the comments if you just want to see how I apply everything instead of showing you how I make it as well, or make those a separate video. Let me know down in the comments below what you would like me to see me do. But anyways, I am taking some clay and I am sculpting out the anarchy symbol, and right now I'm giving it a little bit of texture and whatnot. Also, for when I do start selling prosthetics, I will be doing both painted and non-painted versions, depending on what you guys would want. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking more clay and I'm building a wall. So I use oven baked clay just because of the fact that I don't want this to dry and not be able to use it again. If I use oven baked clay, then I usually can use it more than once when I'm making things. So what this is now is I mixed up some plaster, just the plaster of Paris that you can get at a craft store. I mix it up and I'm pouring it on the prosthetic and letting it dry. So here's the dried product. Peel the clay off of my table and we will have a mold. So now what I'm doing is I'm cleaning all the excess clay out of the edges that I will need. And the next thing that I will be doing is I will be pouring liquid latex on it. I am smoothing it out with my fingers to make sure that it goes evenly across the whole thing, because sometimes it tends to like to just run off the edges if I don't. Even though my table is perfectly level, for some reason it always likes to try to run off. So that's basically how I create the prosthetic. Next we will move into me actually painting it. So first I am just taking some of the red water activated paint and I am painting in the anarchy symbol. And now, as you see, I'm mixing this green and a gray together. I'm trying to remember what green it is exactly. But it will be mainly gray that I'm using, but I am mixing a green with it. Of course, I don't remember on the top of my head which one it is. It is actually an olive is what I'm mixing with the gray. And I'm just filling that in on there, and I'm also doing some splattering with the brush with some different colors. I ended up coming in with a little bit of a orange color. And I'm dabbing it with my thing because I end up getting it a little bit too wet. So now I'm going back in and retracing that red because I really want that red to pop. That's the main thing that I want to do for this prosthetic. So now I am going in with some liquid dark blood and also filling in that anarchy symbol. And then I'm using my bruise wheel to start adding a little bit of bruising around the edges of it, so using a few of the different colors there. and just adding some texture and some bruising pattern to the wound. And I'm using both my hand and my fingers and the brush to do this. So now while I let that dry and be ready to use, I am now putting liquid latex above my eyebrow. I'm not putting it directly on my eyebrow, even though I have Vaseline on my eyebrow to prevent it from pulling my hair up. That's not always perfect, so I do recommend not actually putting latex directly on your hair. This is also why I shaved my head for this, because I am not exactly well versed in bald caps, especially only using partial bald caps. Therefore, I decided to just shave my head to use this prosthetic on there. But I am creating thicker, more raised eyebrows. Oh, and yes, here's the one I used before. It's the olive. I end up using a little bit more olive on my face and not mixing it with gray as much, as you'll be able to tell in a little bit as it go. It ends up being more of an olive than the gray color. But I am using hints of gray to mix with it to give it a little bit of depth. So now I am using Prozaid on the side of my head, where I am going to put the prosthetic that I made on. And always you want to let that sit for a little bit before you try to put the prosthetic on, which I did just off camera. And now I'm putting the prosthetic on and making sure it is secure. I did end up putting some latex and cotton on the back of the head because it was a little bit more raised than what I would like it to, although I couldn't blend it perfectly because it was on my own head, and that's hard to do on the back of there. So now I am going in with some black eyeshadow and I'm shading under the eyes and above the eyebrow as well, to make those stand out a little bit more than what they were. I'm also painting all over the actual eyebrow with a little bit more of the olive paint I was using because of the fact that with the black eyeshadow it kind of lightened it up a little bit. So off camera, totally didn't show this, but through the prosthetic I ended up sticking safety pins through them. I do recommend, if you're going to do this, do it before, make the prosthetic before and then put it on, or just be extremely careful. I do not recommend doing that, but I did it. So now I'm just taking that black eyeshadow and I'm contouring around my nose and also darkening up my eyes as well. And then darkening up where my mustache would be, and then also contouring the side of my face. And now I'm also doing this on the sides of my head as well, just basically anywhere that you want to contour a little bit. This was a little bit new for me because I was like a little bit unsure what to do, because I used to have hair there and it's a lot easier to contour that when you have hair. Also adding a little bit more depth to the lines on my forehead because I have a really deep line there, so I decided just to play into it and add a little bit more depth to this character. and also going in and darkening up the eyes a little bit more even, especially underneath, and adding some character lines to the makeup. And now I'm going in with my white water activated paint and doing my highlights. This is the new thing I'm enjoying to do, and I realize that it works very well with a lot of the makeups that I'm doing. So I did that on my lip line things, and then on my cheekbones. Basically anywhere that you need a highlight, that's where I'm putting this white water activated paint and blending it out with my finger to lighten those areas. So now I'm going in with a few different colors and doing some spackling, basically just throwing some paint at my face. I'm doing a darker green. I think I did a tiny bit of white, and then I also do black. In a moment you'll get a close-up. It gives a really cool effect for close-up looks. You can't really tell as much on camera all that well. You can when I start doing the black. The black shows up really well. But it's a really cool effect to do, as you can see on the side. So this is my oh, I still forgot to paint my lips, but this is my punk zombie look that I did, and I will see you guys in the next one.